and in we dive to Champion Select. XL on their way to getting the 5 parts of Exodia with the introduction of Abadage, Odawamne Abadage, and was it Limit who was on the team that made the Miracle Run in the good old days, I think?
I'm not as much.
Odawamne and Abadage were definitely there. Maybe it was Upset as well, actually.
I'm a Zoomer. You ask me these questions, I'm not always going to have the answers. I'm not
going to say, as a Zoomer, you were alive in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
just
I was
checking that one. Oh, we have see-through Champion Select this
time.
Oh, I'm enjoying this. A little bit of...
Not quite entirely, what's the word, opaque?
It's not as opaque as we'd like it to be.
This looks quite alright, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks cool. We're going for, a new aesthetic, but I heard my producer in my ear say it's not meant to be this transparent, right?
I don't mind it, though. Can we keep it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now, we can, at least. Draven band away. There's the Rakan as well. One last joke.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, do you know any good jokes about rope?
No, but I'm sure you're about to educate me thoroughly.
Nah, I'm afraid not. Jace, Zaya taken away. Caitlyn and Rakan as well removed from the pool. We'll see where XL decide to go with their final ban. Annie, something that is very strong at the moment and will be taken away. So now, Koi, first pick, Zeri. Okay, cool. That was a quick discussion on that one.
No discussion had. Vi, question mark, followed up by Aphelios, question mark again. This is the kind of responses I'm used to out in the LPL. We'll see whether or not XL want to go towards those kind of things. You already see the Zeri, so going towards the AD carry makes a whole bunch of sense, and there have been quite a few banned away. Playing with the idea of a Gragas here. And again, I feel like Gragas, generally very solid pick, right? Kind of does everything, hand in every single jar, engage, disengage, whatever you want him to do, he'll do. And it seems like XL want to just go towards that route.
And Gragas is just such a powerful pick generally as we go to a more solid form of our draft. I think the ability to flex in mid, jungle, as you say, like you can go top lane, it just gives you so much flexibility early in the draft. XL though, looking for perhaps an aggressive bot lane, the Lucian locked in. I saw a Reddit post about should Lucian just leave Senna now and, get married to Nami. I'm pretty sure that's what Shape of Water was based on as a movie.
Yeah, I forgot that Shape of Water existed, and I'm very upset that I just remembered that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've never watched it. All I've seen is the promo pieces. So.
Yeah.
Into that though, Lulu and Na immediately locked in.
That was a really weird call-out, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Sometimes you browse Reddit, you see something, you're like, maybe this could work, and then it doesn't, and usually your co-caster kind of leaves it out there. But Jamada, I'm happy you called me out on it, actually, because Vedi would stand by.
I'm not gonna do a Vedi. I'm gonna fight back. I'm not gonna let it happen. No, I'm joking. But anyway, going back to it, Koi have given themselves the Gnar blind, potentially blind, of course, Odom. They could be the one piloting this Gragas. So this is where things could get a little bit irritating here for Koi, because with the Gragas pick being there with a bottom lane, you can't really comfortably ban away any lane. So I feel like you're likely just going to have to go towards things that are quite general bans, right? If you feel like Xerxes is not going to pilot it, then sure, you can move away some of the jungle picks, but right now, as Malrang, you need those, so you can't ban those away. That's about the only thing they probably won't ban, so they remove away the Cassante. Could potentially see something like the Scion as well then come through, just because typically Lucian Nami, not the best at tank busting, but will very much blow up squishier champs.
Wouldn't be surprised, as you say, if we do see that Scion taken away. Malrang's pool being pinched a little bit with the Xin. He's played only Lee Sin and Sejuani so far, though, here in Spring, so as Lee Sin has been hit or miss at times. Those Qs often going wide. XL, though, perhaps don't need to focus too much on that. In fact, leave up the Lee Sin for him if he wants to take it. Sejuani, their decision in terms of final bans.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, though, because quite likely to go towards team fighting. So what do? They remove away 2 of the junglers that are still left up, which fear the best in team fighting, whereas Lee Sin, a little more skirmish orientated, of course, a very versatile champion and can kind of do everything, but it's about meeting the execution floor, which is not always super easy to do. And I guess the question is now, will Koi just remove away the Scion in place? No, they go towards Tristana. So just removing away mid lane AD champion when you've got Gragas there. If you feel like Gragas is going to go in the jungle, it's a very strong 2v2, and they don't have to deal with that option. And that also says to me that Larson is likely going to be looking towards something very scaly in the mid lane.
Larson on a scaling mage? I'm shocked, Jamada. Obviously.
Color me surprised.
I shall. Azir obviously still an option for Larson, his most played across the course of his career. XL still have the flexibility of that Gragas, can be top, can be mid. With the Wukong locked in, though, we know what Xerxes will have his hands on. It was banned away from him a lot in Winter and then started being left up a little bit as teams got a handle on his ability to play the champ.
Yeah. I really am curious about what Larsen's going to do. If he's just going to go towards the, the classic.
This is it, man. There's no way it's not as it.
At the very least, we're going to get Vi.
Okay. You know what goes well with a Vi?
Ari.
Yes.
Talia.
Talia also.
Yeah.
There's a bird you're missing.
No.
It's a poultry matter of something.
Quinn's a bird champ.
Yes. Quinn Vi is not a combination I've seen too often, Jamana.
Me neither. But you said bird. It's going to be Azir. All right, that's fine. I mean, it makes sense in the grand scheme of things, right? Koi very much just looking for a front-to-back teamfight composition. It seems like Vi will function as their primary engage, and they'll try and lock down a target after that. Though I will say Koi's composition realistically just kind of wants to get in place and set up shop and have XL come into them. And right now, they've kind of geared themselves towards that composition slowly but surely, right? With the Wukong, Nami, Lucian, Gragas. Obviously, Gragas can do whatever he wants, but when he has that comp next to him, he's going to do exactly that. And Malphite is going to come in on R5. Bit of a lane counter to the Gnar. He can definitely struggle into like Q-Max, Comet, a whole bunch of poke, and then Malphite's still going to Malphite in the mid-game and be very rock solid. So it seems like to me, XL are very happy to just look for these mid-game engages, press the go button whenever they feel like it, and Koi are just consistently going to have to keep track of Odo Amne, or he will certainly find both Comp and Larsen.
Yeah, it does feel very much like XL are the initiators of a lot of the action in this game, and if it gets past that mid-game, if it gets past 2 items, it feels like this XL composition might struggle a little bit into Koi. Just Koi's team fighting as a whole seems more tailored to front to back.
Yeah, I will say that. I think as we've gone throughout the years of League, especially the last 2 or 3, I feel like scaling matters like less and less, and it becomes more about execution and what you can actually get done in the mid game, especially when you've got kind of a shotgun comp like XL do. So whilst I will say the flat line scaling, just surface level definitely favors Koi, right? It's very easy to execute. I feel like XL, all it takes is one good engage, and that's all that it can be for them to take home a potential win.
You see that Grabs was sitting in the audience, pretty sure he had his notepad out looking at what a good draft could be. Obviously, over the years, Grabs has been on the receiving end of a little bit of that, but I think with hindsight, people put him up in their estimations. However, no impact on the game here today. Koi and XL not taking to the stage. Sadly, we've had to substitute them with a few teddy bears, but thankfully, yeah, very cute teddy bears. Although I will say, most of them only have one eye, and that does mess with your depth perception. But that doesn't actually matter too much because there's a 2D plane that you're playing on.
True.
In terms of a monitor, so perhaps the best place for those bears to be.
As we get into this game, Medic, I want to ask you a question because I've just realized something that's super medical and I don't care.
Okay.
I've realized recently that maybe my depth perception is actually messed up because I don't sit perpendicular to my curved monitor.
Yeah.
I think that's messing with my eyes.
I mean, it definitely could.
Okay.
I will say, it is a brave move to make to ask me that question
on air
in front of probably 100,000 people watching at home. Because I could have gone, yeah, mate, you're screwed. Yeah, I'm really sorry. We actually need to get you to A&E right now. Have you heard of a vestibular schwannoma?
Hey, look, if I'm comfortable enough to ask that in front of 100,000 people, I feel like I'm feeling all right for this game.
For this game, because these are flat monitors.
These are flat monitors. Oh, if they were curved, they would be finished, yeah.
Absolutely ruined. For the moment, though, both these teams going to draw their lines of scrimmage on Summoner's Rift. And we have 2 more games for each of these teams after this. 4 wins seems to be our benchmark to make sure that you are into the group stage. Koi and XL. Well, Koi were able to make it into groups in Winter. XL obviously fell out of the bottom of the pack alongside Fnatic and are trying to renew their ability to make it into the bracket stage. They've had a few fumbles, more than a few, but over the last couple of weeks they've started to look a little bit more cohesive, and perhaps Abadage is the magic addition to their lineup that will allow them to make it into groups for the first time in 2023.
Yeah, like we said, as we came into the draft, XL needs to change up something, whether it was roster or playstyle, and they've gone for the former. And it's been a while since we've seen Abadage here in the LEC. Of course, had his stint out in NA. Pretty successful one, if I say so myself. So returning back home to Europe, first game, we'll see how he does. It's a pretty whatever matchup, right? You'll probably get shoved in here a fair bit in the early stages by this Azir. but eventually it's all about team fighting, right? It's all about finding those flash body slams, the big casks onto Comp, onto Larson, just trying to provide for your team. And I mean, when you've got Malphite and Wukong next to you, I think you're always going to be providing something for those guys.
Yeah, you have a lot of CC in this XL lineup, and you see it is the Comet for Odo Omne up towards that top lane. Shigenda went fleet footwork on the Gnar, just for a little bit more sustain in the matchup as well. Obviously, the ranged form, very beneficial for the Gnar. You can just harass that Malphite down, but if Malphite is able to get some Q spam on you, it becomes a little bit more tricky. Malrang, though, looking for something in the jungle here as Xerxes is on his Gromp. I think Malrang just pinged that the blue was up, thinking perhaps that Xerxes was on the Wolves. Still 20 seconds before a Scuttle Crab comes up. There's a ward down towards this bottom side, so Malrang's just hovering in the darkness. He will go up as he thought Xerxes was starting the blue. I think he thought Xerxes was on Wolves and was going to come across to the blue and then would be, half health because he was doing the blue at the time.
Yeah.
Trimby and Comp trying to push in the bottom lane to add some pressure for their jungler.
Yeah, the big issue here is that the bottom side should have first move actually Patrick and Limit just because of the way the geography of the map works. So it's a bit of an awkward situation. Even though Koi have lane priority, they won't necessarily get to the play first. And also in the mid lane, Abadage is taking a pretty hefty chunk as well. So maybe Larson makes it over there first. Seems like it will just be yielded. Malrang will retreat back to the skull and he will secure that one. Xerxes keeps his full clear. And much like we had the Telestrator from GB and Yamato, Malrang pretty inefficient pathing as Comp should be fine.
Malrang could go back in here. Limit has to flash away. Xerxes diving forward onto Comp. The heal used the barrier as well, and Comp's still healthy enough to continue the fight. Patrick tries to turn it back around, but look at the mana bars on Patrick and Limit. Not very healthy at all, and so it'll be difficult for them to continue to trade in here. Xerxes leeching XP as is Malrang down towards this bottom lane. You can see Trimby and Comp just want to get the wave in so that they can get back. They'll use the Ultra Shock Laser to do so. And now the Koi bot lane can retreat back to their fountain.
Yeah, I think XL, with the mana bars the way they were, wanted a good lane reset, so like keeping Xerxes there, but then also Malrang there just because the lane wanted to be crashed, just simply because it was a good lane state to crash it on. So eventually Koi do get their lane in, they will get the reset first. We'll see how much that matters for Comp and Trimby in around 60 to 90 seconds time or so. For XL though, they will be on that back foot and not necessarily the worst start. The CS is still the same in the bottom side, and with Nami and Lucian, as we've kind of developed more and more with this bottom lane duo, it's kind of come a lot more to the mid game, right? Gale Force plus that 1.5 item spike, whatever it may be, Dirk or etc. with the mandate coming in, and that's when you start to take control of the mid lane map.
And getting an early mandate on your support so powerful for that bottom lane. Malrang was able to get double scuttle here by never doing his red buff or his Krugs. A worthy sacrifice, it feels, for a little bit of crab meat. He will work his way back up towards that top side. You can see Limit just shadowing Abadage in case Malrang did look for anything more. And Malrang is a key talking point for Koi, not only because he's been struggling individually, but also because of the drop in form that he's had. Like in winter, he, yes, was behind in gold, but he was very active on the map. You can see forward percentage really high, lots of kills and assists at the 14-minute mark, around his team quite a lot. And in spring, he's falling behind in gold, but he's also not as active, not getting as many kills. And the phrase we often use with Malrang is, the teams have worked him out. People have found him out. They finally worked out how to deal with his style, but it feels like everyone's playing Malrang's style, and Malrang's just coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward, right? I felt like that was Koi's, formerly, of course, Rogue, that was their thing last year, right? Malrang just kind of ran to lanes, and I think now that we've swapped away from what was a very hard farming meta now, with teams catching up, it does feel a little bit awkward that Koi didn't just immediately get off to a good start anyway. This is a really hefty trade. That's an ignite.
Patrick polymorphed as well. Both the 80 carries down to, 300 HP, 120 for Comp. He does have a pot running. Xerxes is going to work his way down towards this bottom lane. Malrang on the way as well, securing that red buff for the first time this game. Blast cones in. Control ward for Xerxes means that he can step further forward. Patrick diving forward. Acquavism hits, but so does the Ultra Laser Flash for Flash. Comp though, Xerxes dives forward. He hit a minion, but he flashes, but he'll die for it.
Okay. Oh, Xerxes had me for a second there, Medic, I'm not gonna lie. The crushing blow goes onto that minion, but he does eventually find Comp, and he will get his first blood. But my oh my, almost a really huge fumble. As immediate replay, the trades just drawing both junglers down here. As the bubble connects, but the Ultra Shock Laser, 185 damage at this stage is huge. As oh, the observers didn't have to do that, did they? That minion's got a headache. He doesn't feel too good.
Xerxes does have to burn his flash. Importantly, the wave, I think Lulu was able to freeze it outside of the tower range, so Comp doesn't actually lose too much. Yeah, That's the meditation of loss. You know, you take a moment, you sit in your stone skin, I guess, and you just think about what you've
the
done.
name of its passive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's as if I know these
I
things.
know.
Thank you. It's a statue to your own incompetence. For Xerxes. He was able to pick up the first blood, though, so he's about 300 gold ahead, though. Across the rest of the board, you can see Trimby got the kill in response, so he has a little bit of a lead down towards that bottom lane. Koi, about 600 gold ahead or so.
Yeah, map state, all right, all things considered. I think for Koi, any kind of stability with a draft like this, when you've got Azir and Zeri away for 2 items, this is perfectly fine. I think for XL, they want to start to look to try and force the issue a little bit now. The level 6s have come online. You've got Cask, Cyclone, Malphite Ultimate. Make something of it. Right now, Koi on the top side, however, taking the Herald with Malrang and Xerxes, looking for a cross-map play to try and give some pressure down towards the Koi bottom side.
It's good pathing from Xerxes. He wasn't spotted out by any wards, but Trimby and Comp realized, well, there's no wave to play for here, so why on earth are we standing this far up? Especially with our jungler on the top side of the map doing the Herald. Dragon started with the Ultra Shock Laser, and Xerxes could go down and try and secure that, knowing that Malrang is getting that Herald, but Xerxes is looking for a piece of action somewhere, if he can find it. And as you say, that level 6 really the go button for XL. They may be waiting as well for some dragon stacking. You know, if you get the first couple of dragons, you can force a fight at 1.5, 2 items, and that will put Koi in a bit of a tricky situation. For the moment, though, all quiet on the western front, it feels.
Yeah, all quiet, but XL should probably get this dragon. Doesn't seem like Malrang is too interested, though. He just finished that camp, so...
Oh, Malrang has upgraded Smite.
Oh, and Xerxes
That's
does
a
not.
300 gold Smite difference if Malrang goes for it. He's walking. He's walking, Jamada. He's in the bush. There's no vision. There's no... Okay.
That's tough. That's unfortunate, isn't
However,
it? Yeah.
good on us for noticing it.
That is true.
That's important.
Yeah.
These little things
It's
have
kind of
no impact on the game whatsoever, but it's, you know...
It's also kind of our job
Yeah.
to notice those kind of small things. So I guess good job us.
Yeah. Good job us.
Good job us.
I've been thinking more and more about, you know, you have that inner critic, the voice that says you're not good enough sometimes, you're not doing something well enough. You got to have an inner hype man as well. That's what I was doing there. It was more of an external hype man.
Okay.
It's like, hey, good job us, you know? Well done us. I'm sure as a player as well, sometimes that can be a really important voice, you know? If you're struggling in a game, sometimes you're like, hey, yes, I auto-attacked a minion with my Q, but I still got the kill. Good job me, you know? Just picking a random event out of the air there, hypothetical, if you did that as a Wukong in the second game of the day.
Yeah, but see, the issue is when you play League of Legends, there's more than one voice talking back at you.
Mute all is an option, Jamal.
It's not the teammates, Medic, I promise. But right now, for XL and for Koi, I think both going according to plan.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing too out there. I think for XL, they want to try and take this next dragon on spawn so that Koi are forced to try and fight at this third dragon, and that's probably going to be the best shot that you have to, you know, kind of push Koi further behind in the gold department right now. Keeping up, this feels like, you know, kind of a 1.5K-ish gold lead as things stand.
Patrick, no flash. Cease and desist being used. Acroprism coming out as well, but Patrick dives in, looking for some more damage on Comp. Can't get enough. Comp takes the kill. And Koi have 2 on the board. Malrang put down the Rift Herald here as well. They might look to crack 2 plates first, then Rift Herald it to get a little bit more gold. May even just not invest it. No, they do. In the end.
Yeah, of course, Malrang picked this Herald up earlier. Didn't really mention where it could go, but realistically, Comp, Zeri, Lulu. Yeah, it was always going to go here. I will say, a mid lane drop could have been alright though. Just simply because there's not a huge amount of wave clear available to the side of XL, but Comp, no, he's fine. He's Zeri. Not going to get interrupted.
Surfs over the Kit Kat banner and gets himself out of any potential danger.
Do you reckon if there was a Kit Kat big enough that Zeri could like skate on it like how she does with the wolves?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to eat it afterwards, but...
Yeah. Neither would I.
Good.
Yeah, I feel like that would be unsanitary, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if it's food that someone stepped on, you probably wouldn't want to eat that.
That's true, but I think most of us have probably eaten that at some point in our lives. I worked in fast food for a very short period of time.
Oh, yeah.
Probably has happened.
Saw some things, huh?
Yeah, you know. XL looking to try and get a bit of an answer back here, but I think Koi doing exactly what they usually do in an early game when things go to plan. Get a lead, get a bit of gold into Comp, and then just keep the lanes even or slowly develop CS advantages across the board. You can see top lane, 6 CS up, mid lane, 3 CS up, bot lane, 8 CS, and a few tower plates as well. And XL, they have this composition that can fight. When all of the stars align, when they get all of their ultimates off, it can go well. It's just whether or not they get the opportunity to do that, or whether Koi are going to be able to just strangle them out of this game.
Yeah, it does feel like on both fronts from both perspectives, right? XL haven't necessarily looked to force many an issue, but also I have to also just credit Koi for keeping XL at arm's length for a majority of this game and taking plays when it makes sense to take them.
Yeah.
And not really giving much a response to XL, as Larssen is just being a complete nuisance here in the mid lane.
It's his most played champ. He's very comfortable on it. I think he only has like a 54% win rate, but he's got 60-odd games on his ear. So
the higher the game count, you know, sometimes the win rate might dip a bit. But
just a tad, unless you're Faker and it's your LeBlanc.
Yeah,
he's gone like
true.
15 games unbeaten on the champion, I think, this year.
Pretty good, that LeBlanc champ.
Pretty exceptional. But with a minute on the next Drake, Jamada, I really feel that's where our battle lines are going to be drawn, right? Like,
I hope so.
It has been 30 minutes and 3 kills. I can understand the desire for a little bit of action, especially as an LPL caster.
I come from the LPL this year, and like 3 kills at almost 14 minutes is blasphemous. You know, it's a very rare that we get.
Who won last Worlds? Was it LPL?
No.
I watch enough LCK to know this is normal gameplay. This is not a negative gaming experience, Jamada.
All right.
I will say their team fights tend to be slightly better than ours. If anyone hasn't caught it, the T1 versus KT thriller. We won't spoil it, just in case people haven't watched it, but I would highly recommend watching it as soon as you can.
Yeah.
That was a great 5-game series earlier today. For the moment, though, we continue to focus on this dragon spawning in 20 seconds. XL setting up around it. Koi have Shirelli as complete on Trimby, not the hugest spike in power for the team, but can give you a little bit of disengage or even engage if the fight does begin.
Hey, I mean, I will say, what is it, 40% movement speed on the active to get away from all of these diving bruises could be a very big deal, as Odo does have teleport, and that was a pretty good trade as well, and with Sagenda just popping the Mega Nart, feels like that's not going to be an option here for Koi at all, and XL on the dragon already. I don't feel like this is really a good contest if they take it.
I mean, Shigenda doesn't have TP as well. You can see Odo holding in Tribush in case he needs to teleport down. Yeah. XL will look to secure the dragon. Xerxes will be able to smite at him, and they'll take it. Odo, you're going in, you're going in, you're going in, you're going in, he's going in! Oh, baby, give it to us, yes! Oh, observers, you absolute smurfs! Oh, the unstoppable force to end all unstoppable forces. Odo with a solo bolo.
We love the observers here in the LEC, and they give us the best possible angle for that 1v1. Sagenda just gets mowed down by the rock, and Odo finds his solo kill. Nothing much to talk about. Flashes were exchanged, but Odo will happily take that kill. And on the bottom side, whilst that's going on, it will be answered for Koi. They will get the turret for comp. I can see you giggling over there. So that's good. That should probably just about propel him into his first item. That's about the first slip up, really, that Koi have made, and it was on an individual basis at absolute worst.
Yeah, but I can smell now what XL are cooking with this draft. Odo showing us just how powerful the mount fight can be, as you say, an old school counter into the Nart. And Shigenda on the wrong end of a people's elbow there, it seems. As Odo was able to secure the kill. Second Rift Herald of the game, though, secured for Koi, and they continue to do what Koi do, which is get gold leads and get towards the third Drake of the game in an advantageous state. Immortal Shieldbow already complete on comp. Patrick has that Gale Force alongside the Imperial Mandate. So XL do have a lot of damage down towards this bottom side, but it's Shigenda matching right now. Xerxes looking for something. Trimby hiding in the wings, waiting around the corner. Hasn't been spotted as of yet, but with Shigenda going Mega and the rest of Koi on their way, the TP being used. There's no tower here, and XL do not know they're about to be flanked. Caught between a tower and another one. Xerxes trying to get away with the decoy, gets the Cyclone onto Comp. They're trying to kill off Comp before the fight can really begin. He's Lulu ulted, but in the end he will fall. Lasso going in onto Patrick, flashes away from the Ember Survivor, it still hits. Odo now joining the fight. Trimby polymorphs him, Limit trying to get away from Marang, will be chased down towards this bottom side. Abadage going back in with a body slam. Odo slaps Trimby around the head and sends him packing. Abadage gets another, and in the end it's a 4-3 in favor of XL. Abadage not done yet, he's looking for a little bit more.
Yeah, Larssen should be able to walk this one out, but this is the thing about the XL composition. It doesn't really matter if Koi have a bit of a goal lead right now, because XL's champions thrive more in a skirmishing scenario like what we just saw unfold in front of us. And Koi, I can definitely appreciate the attempt here for this collapse. You can definitely see that XL, Patrick, Limit, they're kind of overextending, but XL make the call to a point to kind of just stand their ground on all fronts. You can see on the top half, Abadage goes in, almost blows up Comp, doesn't quite work out. Eventually he drops, but Larssen isn't able to offer anything to this team fight, and Maorang, it feels like as well, on the opposite side, couldn't really do enough in time to ensure that none of his carries got dropped as quickly as Comp did, and as well, Odo had a pretty nice 2-mana armor in the middle of that mix-up. A little bit too difficult to overcome here, I feel like, just yet for Koi.
A big thing as well for XL in that fight is, alongside winning it, how many flashes are you burning? Because the next fight's going to happen in 2 minutes' time, and your ultimates are so impactful. That fight, yes, it's great to get the kills, but if you burn Larssen's flash, if you burn Trimby's flash, you make it so much easier to isolate them in the Drake fight that will happen in about 2 minutes' time. Comp still has his, I believe his was actually down in the battle around the bot lane. And as another tower falls for Koi, that gold lead continues to be around 1,000. Comp slides and glides his way back to the safety of his tower, but you can see the damage that can come out. Patrick only 0-2 on this Lucian, but with Gale Force and the Dirk, it's the power spike you were talking about, Jamada.
Yeah, and realistically now we're looking at a little bit under 90 seconds this next Dragon. With those flashes gone, like you said, it's crucial that Koi are positioned perfectly and don't get caught unawares by Odo, by Xerxes, or by Abadage, or they will just get one shot. It is as simple as that for now. It is an Ocean Dragon and Soul, we didn't talk about that. Pretty nice to have for the side of XL when you're running 3 bruisers, effectively. Will make you just a little bit tougher to cut down. So Koi may have to index, potentially, into anti-healing if we get to that stage of the game, depending on how oppressive it gets. But for now, I feel like they, dare I say it, they might have to just concede the next Dragon.
Always a dangerous thing to do. Rift Herald still sits on Maorang's shoulders though, so could look to push it in this top lane, get pressure for the tier 2.
Yeah.
Could, of course, just be shadowing Larssen in case XL looked for something.
Oh no, they want the play. So I think they're just going to look for a cross map here, maybe give up this 3rd Dragon. I think they've just kind of acknowledged that they won't win the fight. XL, I think they realize that too, and they're just trying to get as much pressure down as possible. So it looks like they just want the tier 2, give more gold to Larssen, right? This is just all about trying to accrue whatever pressure or gold they can find, but it's just going to be the charge. There is no tower takedown. Gragas has enough wave clear to hold on to that right now.
And the issue as well for Koi is they don't have TP on Larssen, right? So Abadage can get down to this fight if needed. So what he wants to do now is try and disrupt Larssen from that recall that was happening. Did exactly that, as you say, stop Larssen from getting back. You can see Koi, as you said, Jamada, giving up the 3rd Drake of the game. XL have just left Xerxes on it. Patrick dashing forward once again. Comp just getting shredded. Odo did have the ultimate there, could have gone for something. The cast coming out. Abadage needs to clear out the cannon minion, but couldn't quite do that. So a tower in the top lane does fall in favor of Koi. They get what they were expecting out of the sequence of events, but now XL perhaps slightly on the back foot. Odo can act as a bouncer, using himself as a living ward, bases in the bush. And control ward comes out from Patrick as well, but that ward just outside of tower range that Limit is backing on means that Koi were well aware of everything that was happening.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if XL were going to try and cut off both Maorang and Larssen in that top half of the jungle, but not quite feeling like it with Abadage not having the ultimate. You know, they'd rather not try and take that fight, and still, at the end of the day, I feel like XL sit kind of comfortably in this game state. To counter that point, however, Comp and Larssen have finally made their 2 iron breakpoints. So maybe they look to try and find a fight now, but they have been quite passive. They have been looking to just collect gold, as kind of illustrated. They're still up 1,500-ish right now.
But that's been relatively stable for a while here. I realized I was about to talk about a graphic that I brought up, but there's already a graphic on the screen.
Yeah.
So I can't talk about the graphic that I brought up.
That's
For the moment, though, I will just talk about the fact that I was about to talk about the graphic that I brought up. The gold difference has been relatively stable for a while. You can see bouncing up and down, but it's never really crested that 2,000 gold mark after Koi were able to get those early leads, get those early plates in the bot lane. It's been XL pulling it back a little bit, letting it get out a little bit, or, you know, Koi taking a bit more of an advantage. Still being within 1.7 to 2,000 gold right now. XL will be pretty happy with their situations, especially since they have that 3rd Drake.
Yeah, with the 3rd Drake, things feel pretty good. I think now for Koi, it's about trying to actually establish a bit of a foothold in the game in terms of map pressure and presence, right? I think now you have to try and be in front of that objective first. If you're checking into Fog of War against Wukong, Malphite, Gragas, yeah, it's not going to feel fun. It's not going to feel fun at all. So Koi have to try and find a way to break this mid lane stronghold that XL have right now, but it's so difficult to get priority over Nami Lucian. Perhaps you can look for just a kind of a semi-half-hearted force in to try and find a bit of vision through the mid lane, but I think even that is a risk that realistically I feel like Koi as a team would likely not take.
I'll be honest, in my experience in sports in the past, I find a semi-half-hearted force doesn't tend to be the best course of action. Often you need to be a little bit more invested into it as Patrick tries to invest a bit of DPS into Comp's backside, but Comp's still able to dash away. Wild Growth still available for Trimby alongside the heal. All flashes up as well on the side of Koi alongside the side of XL. So this next Dragon Dance, perhaps a Dragon Descent into Madness for these teams, that battle where this game may be won or lost.
Yeah, there isn't a whole bunch of vision in the river on either side. It's a lot of sort of deep vision or very defensive on the side of Koi, so I expect now that Limit has just taken a reset and he's refreshed up on the wards, that XL will try and take control of one side of the map. With 2 minutes left until the Dragon, I feel like they might try and set up in the top side.
Yeah.
See if they can bait in Koi. We saw a very similar kind of, you know, Dragon for Baron Gambit last game from Astralis. So I feel like that could also be a very solid play here for XL if they really want it, because Ocean Soul on point of take isn't always inherently super oppressive. It's not Hex Soul, it's not Infernal, so trying to bait Koi into that fight and potentially just seeing the topside river ready to burn Baron down could also be a cool. I feel like the world is the oyster for XL, and it's about right now how Koi can try and battle the way out of this.
Koi looking for that pearl in the oyster's mouth, but unfortunately you have to dig deep to find that at times. We'll say that XL's damage on a Baron isn't the most.
It's not high.
It's not very high. You know, you have Gragas in the mid lane, and you have Lucian, who, yes, can put out some DPS, but much more effective at killing enemies than taking those neutrals. Odoamne is going to match Shigenda up towards this top lane, and with a minute left, you can see Koi investing some time into getting vision around this blue side jungle.
Yeah. You know, it's so strange. With Koi holding a gold lead for so long, you'd feel like they're the ones that are in control. Now this is finally where they're going to be able to flex the fact that they've been able to maintain this goal difference. And as we was kind of asking for, they have control of the bottom side of the river. They're actually set up here with Trimby and Malrang. They don't necessarily have a whole bunch of vision, but they do have the vision right at the Wolf Camp and right at the entrance as well, right beside it. So that could be enough to have a good setup and have some information ready.
And you can see XL calling for Odo to come across just to try and help clear some of this out, because Xerxes isn't that tanky. He's got a Caulfield's Warhammer, a little Kindle Gem, and a Divine Sunder, right? That is not a tanky Wukong. Yes, you can check with clones and dash out and dash in, but Odo really the one they want face checking into Koi. Dragon up in 30 seconds time. Both these teams battling still, of course, for their spots in the group stage. A win for Koi would put them up, you know, near 90% of scenarios. Odo TPing away now. Shigenda doesn't have Mega Knight. He's TPing to the mid lane, just to try and bolster his team's efforts at pushing through here. Odo looking for something, trying to find an opportunity to get in, and yep, that rock is very dangerous if he can get onto Koi, but with 2 seconds left, that Dragon about to spawn and XL walking into the darkness. A Royal Rumble about to erupt. You have the feel for XL. Dragon down to 7,000. Xerxes can just decoy in though. The ward goes in, but a control ward stops its vision for the time being. Shigenda building up that Mega Gnar. Patrick going in with a culling, a heal coming out as well as Limit tops up his AD carry. Comp trying to put some damage down as well. 2 items already complete on the Zeri. The Dragon still aggroed, 6,000 HP on it, and you can see both teams a little tentative, both teams a little scared. As Shigenda's chunked down to half, he's going to go Mega in just a second. Does he have the flash? He does. Flash Mega Gnar a possibility, but he can't get in. Polymorph onto Odoamne, knocks him back. Does still have the unstoppable force. And you smell it, what the rock is cooking. He gets onto Comp, and Comp immediately flashes away the barrel used as well, and that's the engage tools out of XL. Shigenda goes back into the minion arm, and Patrick dashes forward, light slinging out the damage. TP available for Shigenda as he goes back to the base, with the Dragon down to 4,000. Odo keeps Shigenda around for the time being. Abadagi acting as a bouncer. Malrang to the pit though. He looks for the steal, he can't get there in time. Ocean Soul secured for XL, and Koi could only watch as it fell.
Yeah, I mean, Koi a little too apprehensive about what they wanted to do. They were so scared of the engage tools available to XL that they kind of just never made a move. They never used anything outside of the defensive summoners from Larson, from Comp, away from that Malphite. And now the Malphite ultimate is 3/4 of the way back. And XL, they're on the Baron because they know they can force this with the Soul now.
Abadagi going to start it up. It was a far side alteration, one of those long-range blue trinkets that spotted them doing it, and XL will stop it. They got the Scuttle Crab as well, vitally important to gain control of that river. Still, 1,000 gold lead for Koi. And you mentioned this is kind of what Koi used to do a lot. It's often what we see out of Koi games, but I think Koi have lost the fangs that they had last year. You know, in the past, it would have been like, okay, we give up 2 Drakes, we get these gold leads, and then we just take over the game. We deny your entire jungle, we take all the outer towers, we get vision control. But Koi this year just haven't always looked like that team. Consistently inconsistent, I feel, is the phrase I will use for that.
You know, I feel like some of that comes back to the Malrang point as well. We had the graphic earlier that kind of illustrated, you know, Malrang individually isn't really getting as much as he used to, and a lot of the time Malrang's deficits would actually be translating into Koi leads. I think now that he's also not necessarily forcing as much with Koi as a unit, we're seeing situations like these where Koi, they give up a couple of dragons, they would have fought at the 3rd dragon maybe last year, but now they are at the Baron XL, and they are ready to try and force the fight of their own.
Comp no flash, last no flash, Agenda has one though, he goes in with the Mega Gnar, in fact he dashes out. Does still have that Gnar ultimate and the option to go in, but you can see that bar ticking underneath his health. Baron down to 6,000, XL keeping it aggro, chipping away at it bit by bit. Malrang can get into the pit, has a flash of his own, has that cease and desist. You can see Patrick trying to dish out to the DPS, but it's so tricky for him to go forward. Instead, they dive onto Shagenda, the unstoppable force onto the backline. The Dwayne Johnson effect you gotta feel. Teaming up with a Cyclone, and XL just shred through Koi. Shagenda falls a triple for Cersei. Only Malrang left alive, and Baron in XL's eyes.
It's a triple for the Monkey King, and his Bruiser crew is feeling pretty alright about it. XL, they will get themselves the Baron. 4 kills, almost a clean 8s. Malrang makes it out with his life, but you can just see Koi can't stand up to this much dive. They have a lot of good tools to peel away, but it's frankly not enough. Too much CC, too much burst damage, and with no flashes earlier from the Dragon, XL know this is what they're tracking, it's why they're here. And this all starts with the bubble, and again, just another massive ultimate as cast follow-up. It's too much to handle. By the time Larson gets the Emperor's Divide out, he's practically already dead, and so is Comp. Excellently orchestrated by XL, and they just simply know with the Soul, they can consistently make this dance work. And now with the Baron, they'll be looking to take more structures off the map.
XL in the driver's seat now. Gold lead for the first time this game. 2.5k ahead. Ocean Soul as well for them, alongside the Baron for the next 2.5 minutes, and there's a lot of standing gold on the map for them to secure. They've only taken 2 towers so far. Top lane will be falling pretty shortish, you got to feel, and also the jungle of Koi being taken away. For XL, what a win this would be. Currently sitting near the bottom of the standings. We're tied, of course, for 7th before Heretics lost game 1. Now a win would put them up to that 3-win line. We think 3 wins is well, it should be enough, but there is a possibility if you get 3, you could still get knocked out on tiebreakers because of how close this split is. But 3 wins, at least in winter, was enough to make your way into groups. XL missing out on it just a month ago. How time flies for them as they look to take down Koi. For Koi, a loss, of course, will sting, but they have 2 more opportunities this weekend against BDS and Vitality to try to get to that 4-win mark. Odo facing Malrang in the mid lane, a 4-level advantage as the unstoppable force coming out with the tidal wave just wise. Season's assist being used as well with the TP in. Malrang stops time for a second, knocked back with the explosive cast. The culling, the wild growth, still not enough. If that's every ultimate you want, XL will find their mark, find their man, and find the tower to boot. Again, the dashes away from a body slam. As Abadage continues to look for more. Odo coming back in with the TP, no ultimate on him, but the Cyclone still a threat looming over Koi. And with a player down, they will sacrifice their mid lane inhibitor. 50 seconds left on the Baron. I think this will be all that XL get out of it, but how much have they gained? 3,000 gold off it, and with it, perhaps their 3rd win of spring.
They are still very, very reasonably ahead, but the Elder is spawning in around 60 seconds time. You seen an Elder before? I feel like I have.
I've seen many an Elder flip.
Now, on this replay, it's not really much to talk about. Warwick's just getting ganked by 5 members in the mid lane. Pops a stopwatch and the cast comes in really well timed, and last couple of shots come in. I think it's the cast that claims his life. Nope, it's Patrick with that culling.
That's a fitting name for a fitting end there for Malrang, the culling. In the end, taking the kill. Now 2 waves of super minions pushing in. Larson, no TP on him. He's answering top right now. 40 seconds, as you say, on the Elder. Will be tricky for Koi to navigate this situation. Comp at 3 items, though he is on a Zeri. We have seen Zeri do many things in games like this. Knight's Vow as well for him to try and add some protection. Flash as well, barrier as well. He's got all the tools at his disposal. but so do Excel.
It's just so scary, man, because look at the lack of vision generally. It's only really in the pit, and they've got that one far side alteration at the entrance. But other than that, Koi aren't working with a whole bunch. And oh, Malrang.
Tidal Wave goes wide. Bolt Breaker coming in with the Agripism, and the Cyclone is enough. Jungler is dead. And Koi perhaps alongside him. Xerxes can dash into the Elder. What do you do here, Koi? Shigenda looking for something onto Limit, but even building up the Mega Gnar, Gnars him into the wall. Still gets the damage down. He does kill off Limit. Is it enough? Odo snuck behind them. Unstoppable force
they
available.
don't know where Arbor is.
They know where Odo is as well. Abbedagge looking for a victorious return to the LEC, but Koi unwilling to give an inch right now, it seems. Comp diving onto Odo Amne, but he's got no last whisper, so Odo so tanky. Emperor's Divide being used. Decoy away from Xerxes. Still half HP on the Wukong. What do you do here if you're Koi? You continue to poke, you continue to prod, and Abbedagge continues to look for a flank position. He's going for it, Odo in, Larssen flashes away, unstoppable force, Larssen dashes away! Larssen survives, and Xerxes looking for something, but lightning crash coming out from Comp. Excel unable to sink their dive, the Gnar into the wall, Shigenda doing it all here for Koi! Comp with a double, and Excel, you had it in the palm of your hand, how can you rip defeat from the jaws of victory like this? Super minions on the Nexus Towers, Tidal Wave being used as well. Abbedagge going back in for a little bit more. Excel still looking for something, but Malrang is on the Elder.
You asked what could Koi do, and my answer was going to be they have to make a choice soon because the supers are pushing in. They do lose a Nexus Tower, but they win the fight. Shigenda finds a massive ultimate back-to-back. Picks off Limit. Oh, hello.
It's only Abbedagge, though. Oh, no TP on him. Abbedagge is going to try and kill off Shigenda, but he flashes away. The Hyper helping out. The Gnar there is going to go Mega as well for a bit of help. Comp and Malrang will be able to secure the Elder. As you say, it's not enough from Abbedagge. Obviously, no empowered recourse for Koi, but Abbedagge invested the TP, thought he could get something. Malrang perhaps looking to cut off Abbedagge here. Instead, just cuts the wave. Just that singular minion really hates him.
What is it with junglers this game and not liking one minion?
Xerxes slap him, man.
Xerxes gave that one minion a headache earlier on, and now Malrang's killing that one creep. But, I mean, I called it. How many times have we seen a potential throw and Elder Dragon Koi find their way to this buff, and it's just going to play a bit of, you know, a delay time. I will say it eclipses so much of the Baron being up that honestly we could see Koi just force the Baron, and XL may have to respect it. I feel like they could burst out Comp and Larssen fast enough, who, by the way, I'm pretty sure Comp also still doesn't have Flash from that last exchange. With that in mind, XL might still take the fight into the Elder. It's not impossible. All that has to happen is Odo has to find his mark, and as soon as that happens, Xerxes there, Arbor's there.
Comp does have the Lord Doms now, though, so a little bit of armor reduction, at least, on the Zeri. If we see an unstoppable force going short, but as you say, no flash on Larssen, no flash on Comp last time. Larssen was able to slide his way away from that ultimate. XL, do you take the fight? Looks like nope. Bot lane is their priority, just trying to get the push in. The inhibitors, as you can see on the bottom right corner of your screen, are respawning soon. 2 seconds on top, 39 on mid. And now with Baron buff, Elder only remains for a minute, so XL have been able to wait that one out successfully at least. But is the delay of the game enough for Koi to finally wrest control of it once again?
You would like to hope so, with both the Uber buffs for now. And you know, earlier I said, oftentimes scaling doesn't really matter because execution is pretty important, but it does make games pretty hard in the perspective of XL, Malrang.
You can't dodge those, but you can get away with wild growth. The culling not hitting as well. Malrang escapes, and now Shigenda opens up. Patrick, where you gonna go, my dude? The Elder finds him. Shigenda on the chase, the tidal wave being used as well. You got any TPs? One for Shigenda, but no flanking wards, it seems. Limit able to get away. Elder out to timeout, 20 seconds on it, but the slow's gonna hit from Shigenda, and he is on the chase. Has had some great performances. This split has continued to stand up when it matters for Koi. Limit almost dies to the Ultra Shock Laser. Will heal himself just up above the threshold, but 28 seconds on Patrick. And with Koi 5 members strong, Baron remaining for 2 minutes. Is it enough to close out the game?
They want the inhibitor at the bare minimum 15 seconds until Patrick comes back up. We'll see. Koi have been quite measured in a lot of their approaches, and it seems like that trend is going to continue here. They'll back away, take the reset, and not overextend. XL through everything and the kitchen sink at Malrang's head. and he just kind of walks out almost.
Yeah, Trimby does a good job of shadowing Malrang as well. You know, the wild growth coming out.
Really good, really, really good. And just that Q there at the very end just gets him out of the culling as Patrick repositioned himself to try and kill Malrang, and because of it, gives over his life to the Elder God. And now Koi sit very comfortably with all of these scaled champions now. When people can't get immediately one shot in the mid game, this is when things get difficult for XL. Constantly tracking flashes, and they're going to be back up in less than 60 seconds time for comp for Larssen. These guys have been reacting to those engages with their flashes pretty consistently, and that's just going to make things even more difficult as Koi looks like they're grouping up in the top side. 50 seconds left on this Baron. I think they want to crack open the base again and try and get this top inhib at the very least.
I've got at least one thing that makes you feel a little bit at home. That's an LPL gold graph if I've ever seen one. Jamada, up and down like a bouncy castle. And for XL, currently seems to be deflating. Koi pushing in, Baron remains for 30 seconds. They have the Sun Disc up as well to help out if any fight does really begin, but you have to feel Koi are just looking for another inhibitor out of this. The super minions in the mid lane, only about the halfway mark of that lane. Odo does have the ultimate available. He's going for Larssen. The rest of his team aren't quite there to follow up. Larssen with the Emperor's Divide. The culling not quite enough. Malrang on the front line. The Cyclone used as well, but Zest has already popped. And once again, he falls. Shigenda looking for more. The tower first, the target here for Koi. And it felt like Odo was just on a slightly different page to the rest of his team. If they layered the CC, perhaps it would have been enough to kill the Emperor himself. Shigenda backs, TP's back in. Abba looking for a little bit more. Comp down to half HP. Malrang goes in with a cease and desist, but he hits it onto Odo. I think Patrick was his aim. Odo able to walk away from this one. Still has the flash. The inhibitor will fall. And XL still hold on to the game just about.
Just about. A couple of missteps there from XL's perspective. Not quite layering all of the ultimates on top of Larssen in time. And then there, Malrang doesn't quite get the target he wants with that cease and desist. Really strong ultimate from Odo. The only issue is really, I think in the middle of all of that, Arbor actually body slammed the creep. That's what stopped him from gap closing. That's so unfortunate.
Man, Koi creeps are just so the MVP this game. Put him on the
They really are. And I mean, Xerxes just gets one shot. He's not as tanky as he is in the mid game anymore. He's sure he's got a Spirit Visage, but it's not the kind of resist that are going to keep you alive against comp. And unfortunately, doesn't able to follow through with Odo. And now Koi with 2 inhibitors. Elder spawning in 40 seconds. We're going to see the dance again.
Those inhibitors, though, 4 minutes for the top lane, 2 minutes for the mid lane, and only 30 seconds on the Elder. XL, the game was in the palm of their hands, and just a single mistake is all it takes. Obviously, there have been a few mistakes across the course of this game, but the decisive one around the last Elder fight you have to feel. Baron's still a minute and a half away, and it looks like XL might just be seeding pressure around here. They're going to go through mid. Often we see teams do this, get the prio, chunk out someone. Shigenda their target. Shigenda no TP on him. Obviously can get some health back with the Mega. Wild Growth a possibility as well. Elder started. Unstoppable Force available for Odo. Look at where Larssen is, though. Has that flank position. It XL overextend. Abadage pushed in top a little bit and now has worked his way back to join his team. Shigenda low. Patrick almost gets him. Shigenda no flash now. Malrang dashes out of the pits, and XL will look to keep this dragon aggro. Trimby on the front line. No vision for XL.
It's a 4v5.
And Odo find it again. Comp has flash, so does Larssen. 4v5 right now, as you say. Shigenda trying to build up that Gnar bar, but look at how low he is. Basically 500 HP on him. Malrang in the back of the pit. Xerxes chunked out just a little bit. Odo looking for a flank position. The tidal wave, the unstoppable force, but the Elder, they didn't see Malrang! And once again, it's on the back of a smite from their jungler. The Koi find the fight, they find the win, they find the TP. And XL can only rue the day. They let Malrang sit in the back of the pit. Koi advance to the win.
It doesn't matter if you don't do anything for about 25 minutes. All you have to do is hit your smite key on the Elder, and you will win your team the game. And I mean, Koi, they tailed it out well. XL almost had everything they wanted from this game, but Koi, they should be closing out here with the Elder. It's 2 versus 4. GA's pot, but does it matter? I don't think it does, Medic.
Koi claim their 4th win, and with it, a likely spot in the group stage.
Excellent stuff from Koi. A bit shaky, I will say, a bit shaky.
No,
but
that was clean League of Legends.
Yeah, clean League of Legends, but
you can see it on their faces as well.
You can a bit. But for them, 4th win,
Yep.
It feels like guaranteed you're making it into the top 8 now, right?
We will say, like,
Yeah.
We're talking about like percentage of scenarios,
Yeah.
which always assumes 50-50 odds, but 4 wins. Last split got you in definitively, and we think this split will be definitive as well. We'll keep you updated abreast of the situation throughout the weekend, of course.